Hey everyone, Kirito here on my brand new set for Rec Room Builder's Guide. For this episode, we're going to be using the brand new state tool to make an elevator in two different ways. Because, well, who wants to take the stairs? So here we are with our latest kit that you can get for an elevator. I felt this was the best way to start out, showing you exactly what this new state chip can do, and if that scares you calling it a state chip, you could call it what it is. It's a multi-variable toggle switch that contains different states they could jump between, which is kind of a long name, so think how much that scares you, and then let's just go back to something as simple as calling it a state chip. Now, I recently just started using the state chip, and it seemed a little intimidating because, you have a piece to enable it, and then you have, all these values attached to it, so you can have 3 values, and then there's a time and state, which is a value, non-change, so every time the state changes, it does something, and then of course you have your reset, which I guess they took the R out and just left it white, because, well, we know what it does. So, what this does is, instead of having all of this, they lumped it all together right here, and instead of having the program each and every bit to tell it, change here, multiply by this, plus or negative, blah 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 blah. They made it really simple and put it here. Now, it doesn't look like much right now, but there's some cool little hidden bells and whistles that it has. So if you hit select, and you select it, 3 dots come up. And with those 3 dots, you can hit the add state. Now, what does that mean? Add state. State, state, state. I'm going to say the word a lot, state. You could probably make a drinking game, but you may die within 5 minutes. And only do this, kids, if you're over 21. And again, don't do it. So, a state is in this time, in this instant. Think of state as door open, door closed, elevator up, elevator down. The elevator up is one state, the elevator down is another state. And that's pretty much what we're going to do with this. We're going to make this mini elevator move up and down in 2 different ways. And we'll get to those 2 different ways in this episode. So for this, we need 2 states. We need a state when it's up, and a state when it's down. Its default state is going to be down. So we have the first one. So we're going to configure it. And just so that we remember, if you go to the next one, you can actually call it DOWN, down. Now we're going to make another one. Now you can hit select and do it. In case you don't do that and you just clone it, when you clone it, it's not going to be attached at all. You see this little green thing? It means it's attached to the state. Don't worry, you don't have to delete it. What you can do is, we're going to use the wire tool to wire it to it, and then wire it back down. Now we got some disco lights going on. Don't worry, the only reason this is happening is because nothing is stopping it from cycling between the 2. It's going, okay, I'm going to go down and up and down and up. Okay. Just to make sure we remember which one's up, we're going to go back, change the state name, hit UP for up. So for this first one, we're going to say, go back to the wire, when someone enters the elevator, it starts going up. And then when someone exits the elevator, it goes back down. So this is going to be a one-way lift. For games where you don't want the person going up and down, you want them to get the idea that you're going up, and that's the only place you're going. Next, we are going to tell it, well, let's move everything into place first. So we're going to need this hit zone, trigger zone, in the elevator, where the person's going to be. And then, we're going to need this to move all up and down together, so we're going to have to attach this to the piston. So what we need is the elevator to go up, don't forget we also need the trigger volume to go up with it, because if it doesn't, it's just going to stay here, and the second it gets up high enough, it's going to go back down because the person's going to exit it. Now, we're going to attach the values. Value 1, it's right here, and that's going to be telling us that yes, the piston is on. Value 2 is going to be our speed, because when it goes up, it's a positive value, when it goes down, it's a negative value. And that's the only thing that we're going to be telling these two states. So when we hit configure, it's going to tell us value 1, value 2, value 3. You could even set a delay for it, so the name even gets longer. It's a multivariable toggle delay switch. Yada yada yada. But instead, all we need is two things. We need to tell it it's on, and the speed, which will set the speed at 25. See? It's going up. Now, a mistake I made was that was supposed to be for the down. So, instead of 25, we need a negative 25. There you go. So now at negative, it will stay down. Now for the up switch. For the up switch, we need to also tell it, yes, it will be on. And yes, we need a positive value to bring it up, which will be the 25. Now we've done it. No more plus minus, no more figuring out multiplication, no more going up and down and adding multiple values to this to tell it that we need it to multiply to get it. All we need to do now is exactly what you saw. Now what happens is, if somebody goes in, goes to the up state, and it keeps on going up, up, up until you leave, and it goes back to the down state. One way left. That will be the first one that we do. The second one that we will be doing is a two-way. Now this is only going to be going between two floors. If you want multiple floors, tune in next week for our next episode that will take you between floors. But until then, we are now going to do a two-way. And everything you saw in the first one is basically going to be the same. We are going to wire the piston to the elevator and to the trigger volume. We are then going to create not one, but two states. Add state here. And instead of cloning like we did before, hit move, we are going to hit the select tool. Add state. And there's your second state. Now it's only going to give you one way, but as you saw before, if you wire it from the one and going back, it's going to cycle. Now, instead of doing it when a person enters and when a person exits, all we're going to change is when a person enters. So when a person enters, it's going to go up. When a person enters, is then going to go down. Now remember, your state 1 is always going to be your first state. That is your default state. It's the one that's going to stay on. Just make sure, I'll label these as well. Go down. And up. Okay. And we need our values. So when it is down, is on, and it is a negative number because it is going down. When it is up, yes, it is also on. The value is a positive number because it is going up. Now, we shall wire these. Value 1, on and off. Value 2, the speed. Now I haven't talked about distance because those are built into the kit, but if you need to change the distance, just hit configure, hit your piston, and tell it what your max travel distance is. This could be 0.1 meters to 1,000 meters, but since my hand cannot go up that high, I cannot travel at a constant speed to keep up with it, it will just go back down. So, now we have all of that set up. This should, in theory, when I put my hand in, go up. Even when I take it out, it should still go up. And it's going up. And it is still going up until it reaches its mark. And then Let's say another person goes in on that second floor and wants to go to the first. It is going back down. And that is one of many uses for the state chip. Well, that is all for this week's episode. Next week's episode will cover part 2, going up and down between floors. Not sure how advanced I'm going to make it. If anyone wants to add some statements or comments, exactly what they would like, if they would like buttons, if they would just like an up and down switch, just let me know. I might stick with something a little bit more simple to do it. But until then, Kirito out.